Hi, Matt. I was looking forward to talking to you.
It was so clear to me that this is just about basically one person talking to another.
I really get turned on by like good ideas and good stories.
If people like it or whether they don't like it.
I've been cursed and blessed with an overactive imagination.
MattLees Gets Creative contains themes and subjects that may not be suitable for everyone listening. If you're easily offended, we suggest that you get your podcast on elsewhere.
Right here, right now, on MattLees Gets Creative. Well, we like you so much, loyal listeners, that we have a bonus episode for you. With my new friend and soon-to-be yours, Ben Goldsmith, fantastic comic book writer and a fantastic dude. I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation. Now, we're doing it as a bonus episode strictly because it's time-sensitive. Ben needs our help, you see. He's got a indiegogo running for his newest project, Chango, The Broken Veil, Act 1. Check that out on Indiegogo because it does have a limited date on it and we definitely need to get it heated up. So if you can, spare a few bucks for a great project, a fellow artist, and help him out with his Indiegogo. Now, Ben and I chatted as he was traveling on the choo-choo train, so literally on that grind, that indie artist grind, traveling between Comic-Cons, and he talked to me about his start in comic book writing, his whole life as an artist, and so much more in this bonus chat that I thoroughly enjoyed.
I am on an Amtrak right now.
That's kind of cool, though, isn't it?
Yeah, we're going from, I was in North Deerfield, which is like 45 minutes south, north of Miami, South Beach, which is where the convention is, and I think I should be just passing Fort Lauderdale now.
Right. Are you headed home now then from the convention?
No. I go to the convention. I came in a little early just to see my friend, and then I'm going to go to the convention until Sunday, and then Sunday back to Boston.
The life of an indie artist, my friend.
I guess so.
It's funny because on this podcast, it's basically myself, a musician, talking to other creative types from all avenues. And there are some recurring themes that always come up regardless of what skill set, the person I'm talking to is in. There's similar journeys, man, and one of those is being on the grind, which is what you are literally doing right now.
Yeah, no, it's for true. Like I am definitely fighting off a cold from the convention last weekend in New Jersey because I think no matter what, I don't know if you know how much you know. You sound like you have an American accent, so I think you're from here originally, yeah?
So I was born in Wales, but I grew up in near Toronto in Canada.
Oh, okay, there you go. And, well, then you know that New Jersey is the hellhole of America.
That's what I've always heard, my friend, yes.
Yeah. So, of course, I got sick there. So now I'm just kind of trying to pump as much medication as possible in 95-degree humidity.
Oof. Sounds rough.
And that would be your grind right there.
Absolutely.
There's your grind.
So, if you are not feeling up to it, we can always talk another time, but if you're happy to talk, I'm happy too.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, cool. So the concept of the podcast, like I already said, I do like a formal intro where I'll introduce yourself and I'll put the links up and I'll mention the links and things like that. But the actual podcast just fades up like a natural conversation, so we're already on it as far as I'm concerned. We always kind of start at the beginning with inspirations. So, we find ourselves talking to Ben today, who's a comic book writer. Now, where does that come from? That love for comics, that love for writing? What was the beginning for you?
Yeah, actually it came from musical theater, believe it or not. Hi, what's going on, Matt? Thanks for having me on the podcast. That's my formal introduction. And you guys can hear me all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, cool, because I think just to let the people know, I am currently on a train going from Fort Lauderdale to Miami to the Miami from Boston. So this is just a big old travel day.
Absolutely. Yeah, we're talking about the grind.
Ooh. Well, that's exciting. Listen to that. I go on too. I think exciting podcasts always come when the guest is yawning.
Yeah, we're off to a good start, right?
Really heightens it. Yeah, while we're at it, I'm just going to go get like a snack too and just leave for 5 minutes.
Right. Well, I'd rather you leave for 5 minutes than chew on the mic, to be honest with you.
That's fair.
I hear some podcasts where dudes chew, and I'm just like, come on, that's got to be 101.
Yeah, well, I listened to this podcast called Doughboys, which is literally a podcast about reviewing chain food restaurants. And it's kind of part and parcel. You just sort of accept that it's going to happen.
Yeah. I think if that was the case, I could accept it. But it has to be
you're
welcome.
prepared.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. My inspiration, I started off doing musicals, and I've always loved storytelling in some form or fashion. I was a musician, and I did musicals, and I toured the country, and I think I had just this moment of, hold on, there's actually people coming. I'm trying to make sure everyone's got enough room. This is an interesting, Matt, it's funny because I think we talked about this being like, this will be a real behind the scenes podcast of like the travel days, when you're not actively making or actively selling a convention. A guy just came on videotaping the train like he's never been on a train before.
Right.
That was new for me.
But that's meta though, because now he took footage of you recording this podcast with me. So now somewhere there's also video footage of this too.
Yeah, there you go. And he didn't even sign a waiver or anything.
No, absolutely.
All right. So yeah, I told Matt, I was like, oh, this would be kind of cool, I think, or it'll be an absolute disaster. And either way, good entertainment.
Hey, either way, I'm uploading the feed. You know what I mean? So that's how I roll.
Yeah, it's going no matter what.
That's right. Once you record it, it's going out there. I'm not posh. I'm not hiding myself. If we recorded it, we're releasing it. So I'm excited.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Actually, you know what though? Could we take this whole thing again? Could we start again? Is that possible?
Yeah, sure. Please. It's as long as.
I'm just playing with you, man. I want to see how far I could push this whole not posh situation.
Oh yeah. Well, I was gonna give you one.
You get the one mulligan? Oh, that was very polite of you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Matt is a polite person. He will give you the one.
That's right. But then the second one, I would have gone, no, man, this is it now. We're rolling. But,
You're like, dude, I got things to do. I gotta do the laundry, man. I can't be re-recording your stupid intro all day. Yeah, dude. No. I did all sorts of forms of stories and traveled, and but ultimately, I sort of found that for me, I wanted to be more in charge. I mean, it really was that simple. Yeah. And then I'd always been a huge fan of comics, and I sort of rediscovered them when that New 52 dropped, and just that passion of going every day and feeling what that was like, and then going to conventions and meeting people who were similar to me, sort of spoke to it. And then the 22-page form, even if you have a book that, is 192 issues, it's still 192-page issues. Mm-hmm. I mean, 122-page issues. Mm-hmm. So what you do is that form is really enchanting. So now that's what I do full time. I got picked up by Source Point Press. This was before they were in Diamond. Oh, where are we gonna go? Southbound to Miami Airport.
Fort Lauderdale Airport Station.
Oh, the Fort. All right, cool. We're good. I don't have to go back out in the humidity bread that is Miami right now. Not yet. So, I got in with those guys even before the whole Diamond thing. So, weirdly enough, I'm OG at this point, which is not something that I'm used to. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And it must be cool to be able to write, because comic books, because like you said, there's like the certain amount of time, there's a length of the story. So do you always have like the full story arc, and then you kind of break it up into all the necessary issues and things, or do sometimes you kind of tell the story as it goes?
Yeah, it's funny because I think I have a very different approach to this thing than I think a lot of writers do. I talk all the time with writer friends where they're obsessed with the outline, but for them it's sometimes more enjoyable to create that than it is to actually go through it. But for me, I really like to sort of let things breathe. So I'll do something, and sometimes I'll have things in my head, but if I get down there and then all of a sudden some idea really pushes me at that moment, I'm like, oh, this feels like something that would really change the stakes here for someone, or then I'll just go with that. And then from that point on, that's canon, and I'm building off of that again. So I end up rereading my stuff a lot just to make sure that I haven't been insincere with how the whole thing works. But no, man, in general, I really, really, really like the act of discovery. Even when I was doing musicals, it was always the rehearsals I liked more because I really, really liked the journey, the act of discovery, the act of surprise, the moment when you're sort of at the mercy of not knowing what's next, and that stuff that comes out of that usually is my favorite. And then I think, with good polishing and editing afterwards, it reads that way. It feels as surprising to read as it did to write, because hopefully that's the translates. So yeah.
It sounds very cool. And then, of course, you get to very similar journey. So, for example, I'll write a song. I'll send it off to musicians who will add guitar, keyboards. They'll send it back to me, and I kind of get to rediscover it. It must be similar for you then when it gets sent back to you, like, seeing the original drawings. I don't know how early in the process you see things, but I imagine being the writer, you get kind of a... Is there a say for you in sort of looks and atmospheres of what you want things to look like, or does the artist say, leave it to me, pal?
Well, that's actually a great comparison, by the way, because you put something together, but ultimately all you've done is construct a sandbox and put all of the proper toys in there, and then you let someone else play in it. That's and different projects have different parameters with working with the artist. There's some that I'm extremely close to the process from, and there's some that I don't know what it looks like until I'll see the book published.
Right.
There's one right now that I'm working for this company, Mad Cave Studios. They do I'm so sorry, guys. They do, all right, to make up for any yawns, I'll then do like a really crazy thing afterwards. Deal? How about this? Sorry. So yawn. So now a zoobin. That was good, right? All right. Anyway, moving on. So and make sure if I do yawn and I don't do a crazy thing after, call me on it so that we can really make good on this. Like, I can't make false promises here on the podcast.
They will call you out on it, especially our friend librarian Kate.
She is my best supporter in the world. I don't know what lucky stars I shot down to deserve her on my team, but I am grateful for them.
Hey, man, I feel the exact same way. I call her the patron saint of podcasts.
Dude, she's just unreal, man. I don't have enough good things to say about Kate. I really don't. And I finally get to meet her in a month at Terrificon in Connecticut.
It's amazing, isn't it? The digital world allows us to make friends and be able to interact with each other all digitally, but then once in a while we also get to meet up in person, which is amazing.
Yeah, well, it certainly makes conventions better. And it might be pretty self-serving to say, but I mean, if I wanted to, I could enumerate the reasons why going to conventions is great for just the common layperson who doesn't work in comics, just loves them. Like, there's a billion reasons, but for the people like us, we get to then meet and see all our friends, and it creates a real community. I get to go to these conventions, and I'm going to Miami, and I've never been to Miami before, Matt, but I'm sure I'm going to see people I know. It's going to be, and it's really exciting. It creates a community that I think all artists didn't have, which is why we were artists in the first place.
Absolutely, and that's such an underlying theme of this whole podcast series that it's almost like I texted you that and said, make sure you slip this in at one point of the show.
I listened to every single episode prior to this.
Of course, twice. That's research. Of course you did.
Yep, every single one of them twice. And then backwards, just in case there were any hidden messages. Oh,
and so you found the hidden messages then. Cool. Well, keep those to yourself.
Huh? You are a pervert.
Oh, yeah, I know, but that's between just, I guess, you and me now, so. Hey, look, I got this. I'm getting this. You mentioned musicals, and I did musical theater, too, so.
Oh, no way.
So that was, when you said that, I kind of perked up, because you were talking about, like, the stuff that happens in rehearsals and things is the most fun. Definitely for me, too, doing, like, the musical theater thing, and it was that first time I felt that sense of community with other, quote-unquote, weird kids.
Weirdos, yeah. I'm actually, it's funny because I'm getting, so I have a new book out. It's been out for about a month now already, and it's the entire thing is classic tattoo art. So like that old Sailor Jerry style flash art. And ever since then, I've been like really wanting a classic tattoo, but not quite sure what to get. Like, I already have superhero stuff. Like, I didn't want to do that again. But then it hit me. Like, I was like, oh my God, of course. I'm getting Frankenfurter as a classic pinup girl from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Because that was that first movie and then subsequently production, the stage versions that made me feel like that connection of weirdos who all kind of were like, we're not. I grew up with like Holliston and Abercrombie and Fitch. That was my time period, and we were like, we're not really that. And I think most of us tried because it looked appealing, and sort of found it lacking, and then fell back on the weirder stuff, and yeah, musicals is kind of cool that way. It's and don't get me wrong, it was a great place to meet whatever sex you are attracted to. Musical theaters was a lot of kids with a lot of different hormones.
Absolutely. Like, I'll say it. Some musical theater kids are dirty fuckers.
I know nothing about
No, neither do I. I just read that on like a Reddit post or something. I don't even know. Yeah. We're here to talk about creativity, so that's part of it. So what are some of the shows that you did?
Well, and just to go back to about like just sometimes doing things purely to attract the sex that you are attracted to. Yeah. It's like, why do you think they built pyramids? Like it was because they wanted to be attractive to. It all comes down to that.
Absolutely.
I had a teacher, and he was all like, "It's all about the dick." We're like. And first you're like, oh, that's very off-putting, sir. And he's like, no. It was a Cuban man. He's like, no. Eventually, everything you get down to, it's about the dick or the pussy. And like, he would just go through it all, and he was right every time. He'd be like, oh yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
But so the musicals I did, I got to be in Assassins, which was really cool because that's my favorite show, and they don't do that often. I toured in South Pacific. I did some off-Broadway, like, sort of experimental stuff. What did I? Seven Brides for Seven Brothers out in Wyoming. Thoroughly Modern Millie in Virginia. Like, I got to do like a whole bunch of different theater stuff and travel. And I was always more ambitious than I was talented. Like, I'm not the best singer in the world, but I'm really ambitious, and I think that sort of made up for it. But after enough times of sort of falling flat on my face and falling flat up the note as well. See, that's why I'm a writer. I threw the towel in on that because I just realized I was like, it's not. All the things that I like about it are not necessarily what make a person super successful. Versus a lot of those same things that I'm good at now do make me successful at writing comic books.
Yeah,
and being on the road for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was going to say, are there lessons you learned from musical theater that you still use today in your creative writing?
Oh my God, of course. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everything you learn from, everything that I have when it comes to writing, it doesn't come from reading comic books. It comes from reading plays. It comes from watching people evolve text and bring things to life and reinterpret the same set of words, and watching the stuff between the lines, like the subtext, watching all of that stuff. But more importantly, it influenced how I sell comics. I now it's a giant carnival barker situation.
Of course it is. That's exactly what a convention is.
Yeah, and through musicals and through being on stage and learning to read a crowd and learning to direct an audience, it's all that stuff. It's funny, we're stopping at Hollywood Station right now, which is Hollywood, Florida, but it's appropriate to talk about acting at the Hollywood Station.
Absolutely. It's so weird that it's cool that you're traveling across the states there, across, Florida, and we're just kind of hearing the updates of which part you're at. And I have listeners all over the world. So then if they're commuting, when they're listening and they're at all these different stops, it's kind of cool to think about, isn't it?
Yeah, I was really actually pretty excited to do this way with you. It's the first time I'm when it comes to, listen, at the end of the day, Matt, like, I'm telling the same stories more or less that, I've told 10, 20 times in this run of podcast stuff because I'm not that interesting. I only have the same 10 or 20 stories. You ask wonderful questions, and I don't usually talk musicals, which is always kind of nice. And God knows I try to avoid it as much as possible. But something like this, something like being on this travel, like that makes this now. That I don't know. I think we as a civilization are starting to be wise to the Hollywood machine, where it's like these celebrities go and they do all these conjunctions, and it's the same, cute quips, and it's the same thing over and over again. And I think people are starting to see Oz behind the curtain in terms of the types of people that we look up to in this world who are creating the things that we enjoy and imbibe.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully little things like this sort of let people know that I'm not playing that game. I like to be present and live, and So thanks for letting me. So thanks for doing it.
I enjoy it, man. We'll head right back to our conversation. I know. We all hate ads on our podcasts, but indulge me, if you will, just for a moment. Here at MLGC, we've started a patron program, but it's not like many of the other programs that you hear about, and that's for one special reason. And that reason is, it's all for a great cause. See, during Season 1, we donated half of all our patron donations to the Velindre Cancer Center right here in South Wales. It's a fantastic hospital run by amazing people that are saving lives every day, including my own. For Season 2, we wanted to step things up, so I'm glad to let you know that from here on out, we're donating 100%. That's each and every penny we receive through our kind supporters to the Velindre Cancer Center. Sure, we could use the funds towards the cost of running a show, but we wanted to do more with your kind donations, so we're paying it forward. If you'd like to help out, you can join the Creative Club, and it's $5 a month. You'll get access to exclusive episodes, a chance to submit questions in advance for upcoming guests, and you'll have the knowledge that you're helping me help others. I know everyone can't afford to donate to every cause, no matter how worthy they are. But if you are looking to spread some love, like our dear friend and supporter, the patron saint of podcasters, Librarian Kate, then we'd love to have you be a part of it. Check it out at patron.podbean.com/MattLees Gets Creative. That's patron.podbean.com/MattLees Gets Creative. Join the Creative Club and help us battle cancer one podcast at a time. I just came up with that last part on the fly. That's pretty good. But I didn't start this show to talk to massive celebrities and things, Don't get me wrong, I'm a whore. I'll talk to anyone. But what I mean is I enjoy talking to all manner of creative people, not necessarily these megastars that'll give you the same two answers, in two different ways. You know what I mean? And you hear the same thing all the time.
And a part of that is that they're hampered by so many different people above them, right? I will say that for SourcePoint Press, I have been incredibly fortunate to be able to work under and with a lot of the people that I work with, because there really isn't a sense. I mean, there's things like we have some exclusives coming out for San Diego Comic-Con, and obviously you have to be a little mum about those things, but at the end of the day, that's purely just for excitement purposes. It has nothing to do with you can't say this, or we have to present an image of da 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 da.
Yeah, definitely. Some of it, I do the same on this show. I mean, let's be honest. If I don't release my entire season of guests in one list, nobody's really gonna care. But you put it out there as this thing, and you kind of build up a little bit of excitement each week for what's the next one, right? And that's fun for me, and hopefully fun for the listeners too. So
yeah. But no, seriously, I appreciate. Oh, there's a man with a gun that just walked through in normal way. He's a police officer. Although this is America, you don't know.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's that's the first time that's ever been said on this podcast. There you go. Ever.
He's wearing a bright yellow and black shirt, and he's a badge. Yeah, he's a cop. No worries.
We're good. Well,
yeah,
we'll stay off that topic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about because you have an Indiegogo running at the moment.
Oh yeah, that's so funny. How long have we been talking?
20 minutes. Oh.
Hello.
Hey, sorry, we lost you for just a second, and you're back with me now.
Yes, I pulled out my damn headphones. I was just trying to look and see how long we've been talking, and I haven't even brought up the thing I came to talk about.
That means I'm doing my job, I think, or I hope.
Amen, sir. So we have an Indiegogo right now, and it's called Chango, or The Broken Veil Act 1. It's a graphic novel in 2 parts. and each one is going to be a double-sized comic book. So this first Indiegogo is for that first half, really. So you're getting a lot for your money. That's kind of the way we were looking at it with this one. And this boy, Ruben, he is imbued with the power to see demons. All of our insecurities made manifest as these demons that live with us. We all have them. I guess mine would probably be something about like panic attacks and not knowing when they're coming, and be some sort of little demon that represents that, and he's constantly like poking me on one shoulder and then moving to the other, so I never know where he is, so everyone's got one, and this guy Ruben, he can see them, so he's kind of at the end of his deal there, and he wants to get rid of it. He's 17, he's been living with it since he was about 10, and he's done. And but really, like, we watch the relationship between him and his mother. So ultimately, it comes to this like dramedy buddy cop comic about a mom, a son, because the mom can't see any of it, and then the son can't tell her, so she just thinks he's growing distant because of the passing of his father, which happened at the same time. So the whole point of it was to say, like, these are the reasons why these things happen to us in real life, and then as Ruben can see these things, his relationship with his mom is going through a problem that they can't fix because neither of them are communicating based on what's happening. So yeah, man, it's I mean, everything I try to do, I really want it to be like some sort of new take on. Everyone does, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds wonderful. It sounds really, really great, and I can't wait to read it.
Thanks, man.
Because I suffer from, I love the idea of comic books more than the actual comic books, in the sense that I kind of got to superhero fatigue,
I 100% have superhero fatigue.
Yeah.
I could care absolutely less what's going on right now. I try. I go on CPR and Bleeding Cool, and I try to keep up on the reviews and the spoilers. I'm like, God, I'm so glad I didn't buy that.
Oh yeah.
It's so few and far between that I actually end up liking them. I mean, there's creators that I'll stay with, like Jason Aaron and Nick Spencer, but buddy. And this one, I mean, it's a completed story too, which is the other thing, is that, like, with superheroes, they're perpetually in the second act of their story, so there is really no ending. It'll always be just a continuation. So,
right.
I mean, we definitely made this thing. It's a book, and I hope something worth reading.
Well, it definitely sounds like it, and it's wonderful to do it as a book, because my big worry when I do collect a series of comics is, what if the store doesn't keep mine? What if I don't end up getting one? What if they don't ship me mine and I miss an issue?
Exactly.
And part of that's because I'm so incredibly OCD, but I'm sure I'm not the only one.
No, not at all. I mean, even with Seance, from the book that kind of got me all started, those are single issue stories. Each one is it's an anthology series.
Yeah.
So I did that specifically for that person. It was like, if you miss issue 2, it doesn't matter. You can read issue 3.
Yeah, and that's important, I think, because you want to be able to actually read a story. There's nothing worse than picking up a comic book and you read the whole thing, and it's like character A moves 3 steps. If it was a chessboard, the character, they've done 3 moves each. That's all that's happened in this entire issue. All right, wait another month now, and you're like, well, tell me a story, man. Like, it's the digital Netflix era.
Or even worse, they move 2 steps forward because they have bi-weekly release schedules and they just don't have enough story. So they're trying to get as long as possible.
You may have gotten away with that in the old days, but in this modern era where everything is so entertaining all the time, you're not going to get away with that for too long, I don't think.
No, there's a paradigm shift coming. I keep saying the biggest paradigm shift is going to be when you start seeing more manga inspired comic books. Because every single kid who reads and draws right now reads and draws manga. All of them, no exception. I would say, like, you're looking at 80 to 90% flat rate.
Right.
So that'll be the big shift. And I don't particularly like manga that much. As far as stories go, I don't think that those move particularly well. And I think it'll actually suit these companies more, where it's like, you don't know, a lot looks like it happened but didn't really happen, and you can keep that going for a long time. And, man, you'll see the huge paradigm shift, especially from the bigger stuff, is going to go towards more manga looking things.
Yeah. Well, here's a cool thought that maybe just comes from my overly stimulated creative brain, but there could be a kid walking around at these cons that you're at and in his little book bag, he's got the next big manga character that he's created that he hasn't quite finished yet, you know? But one day that could be the next big character that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah, I have no doubt about that. I'm fully aware that like I'm riding a crest of my own like time disposal, right? Like there will come a certain point when I am obsolete as a creator. It just is going to happen, and hopefully I can make some money and some people happy before that does happen. Because what happens when that manga thing hits, I'll probably do my best to assimilate or look at that construct and say like, oh, how can I tell the stories that I'm interested in through this new mechanic? And if I can, great. If I can't, well, then that's the end of Ben. You know what I mean? Because it's just what happens with these cutaways. And you look at like, you look at creators who either come too early or come too late, and it has nothing to do with the talent. It's purely just based on the fact that it's like, well, you weren't part of the zeitgeist at that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. But I think that's the beautiful thing, though, I think about things like Indiegogo, is that it doesn't matter if it's not the mainstream, it's not the most popular or whatever, because people that, if it's good work and people enjoy it, they will seek it out. And I think that's kind of why these things like your Indiegogo exist.
Well, I gotta tell you, right now, that's not happening. This Indiegogo is so damn slow to start. I did a Kickstarter before, and that I made $7,000 on that for a record for the Seance Room. We made a full-on vinyl record of music inspired and for the Seance Room, and that went fantastic. And then this one has just been pulling teeth, man, which is weird because, like, from a purely comic book standpoint, this thing is right down the middle. Like, it's a double-sized issue. You know, great gimmick. Two creators, myself and Cesar Feliciano, who are working, you know, today in comics and indie comics, but like Diamond distributed indie comics, so like, you know, your higher tier stuff. And then we have Jason Smith who colored Spencer and Locke, and it's this really cool Magnola style combination between the two. And yeah, man, I'm genuinely surprised so far at how this is. So that's why I reached out to you guys and all that kind of stuff, because I think that people just need to, you know, get some eyes on it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's, you know, so is there a specific link, or do people just need to throw it in Indiegogo? Say it one more time so we have it nice and clear for everybody.
Sure. So you're going to go to Indiegogo, and then you're going to search Chango, The Broken Veil. And that'll take you there, man.
Cool.
Or you can always friend me on Facebook, and I'll post links and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, but I mean, it's there and ready for you.
Cool. We'll definitely share the links too. You know, just to get that out there. Do you find it disheartening then if when things do go slow at first? Because I know I certainly do. You know, when I put work into a song and spend months releasing it, mixing it, it's finally on Spotify, and it gets like 7 listens on the first day. You know what I mean? It's so hard not to get disheartened sometimes, I think.
Well, I think it's certainly maybe. I don't know if this speaks to your situation, but certainly for me, it puts things into perspective of, like, even if I get to travel down to Miami, and even if I get to meet a good majority of my favorite creators and get to, on some capacity, work with them, and even if I get to do all these things that make me feel like a big, bad, awesome dude, you know, day one, 4 people back the project that I have put a lot of passion and thought into. So it's kind of a nice, like, humility reminder, to say, like, you know, hot shit, you don't get ahead of yourself.
Yeah, slow down a little bit, maybe.
It's like, okay, well, now I've learned that lesson, and that's great. And now I just want to actually make this comic that I want people to read. So I've learned my humility lesson, you know, deeds of fate and destiny. So go ahead and let people give it a shot now.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, I hope it does. You know, is there a cutoff date for it, or do you just play it out until?
So we're doing. We got some insight into a couple things that we did wrong, because I've never done an Indiegogo. I know we did it this way because there was a couple reasons, none of which I was really involved in. I sort of was just like, I'm in a lot of ways I'm pretty good with the flow. So I was like, all right, yeah, sure, let's try this one out. Why not? You know, worst thing that happens is it doesn't work, and we learn from our mistakes and move forward. But So there's a couple reasons. So the Kickstarter thing, like I get, but this thing I don't. So I'm learning, and because of that, we ended up extending it to 60 days instead of just 30. So it's a full 60 days now, and especially because I probably should have gotten in touch with the likes of Mr. MattLees a little bit earlier, instead of during the thing, maybe probably before it. So overlap. I don't know. Well, that's not where I'm getting off. Man, it's wild. I'm actually looking out at the windows right now, and it's like, it looks like the Miami you'd expect. It's like palm trees and one-level ranch houses because the hurricanes get too bad.
Right.
It's really cool. But
do you want me to put on a Will Smith song for you?
Yeah, I do. Ven Kamiko, Ami. Party in the city where the heat is on. I'm like, oh, there's a chicken. That's a chicken. Straight up chicken at the train station.
And I look out my window and I see a mountain because I'm in South Wales and it looks like Middle Earth.
I want to go there.
There you go. Well, now
That's
you know.
nice.
Now you know somebody here. So
careful, I'm gonna stay with you.
Well, I have a friend who also. I'm gonna be. Yeah, I have a friend who runs a convention here. So there's always a chance you could get a connection through that.
I 100% would take that. We did our first international convention this year. We did Dublin Comic Con, and that went fantastic. We sold out of absolutely everything.
Nice. I love Dublin. I have one of my brothers. Lives in Dublin, and it's amazing. It's an amazing place. I bet you had a really great time there because they really love artists in Dublin. I found.
Yeah, they did. We, like I said, sold out everything. Not just me, the whole company, everything we brought with us. It was great. But yeah, now I'm looking more forward to that because as a kid, my mom didn't travel. She doesn't go on planes. She still doesn't. Still never will. And my dad was sort of at that mercy. So we never really traveled internationally. So now that I get to travel for work more, I am trying to needle my way into new countries through this back door of creativity. Get my artist visa more or less.
Yeah, it's a great way to meet people and do things. I'm shortly going to be hosting a radio show on a radio station in the Dominican Republic.
Oh wow!
So that's like digital world type shit where you're like, well, that's weird, but
speak Spanish?
No, absolutely not. No way. So I'm gonna be the foreign flavor.
Oh, I see. Did they know you don't have a charming English or Welsh accent?
Yeah, the guy knows me, so I've known the guy a long time, so he kind of poached me and asked me if I would do something. So he's aware of what he's getting, which is a good advantage when you're a creative person.
It's a huge advantage.
Yeah, because you don't have to explain yourself. They don't have to get to know you. They just kind of know you already. But they wanted me to do a current dance countdown show, which was one of the first things I ever did when I worked in radio broadcasting. I did like the top 15 on Thursdays or whatever the hell it was.
Now, what kind of music is that? What kind of music you listen to?
No, absolutely not. So I immediately declined the offer and said that not interested, unfortunately, especially the current stuff. So
no way, man. You can't buy my soul, man. I'm a rocker.
Yeah, well, don't get me wrong, though. If they would have been offering me a salary, a big one, I may have gone, yeah, I'll do top 20 dance. It's cool. But I basically pitched back to, we were kind of talking back and forth, and we settled on a 90s dance party. So I grew up in that era of the 90s music, so it's going to be all those 90s dance songs that I at least love.
Everybody's grooving, everybody's moving.
Exactly. So I thought I might as well do music I can tolerate and that I'm aware of, so I can have fun with them and do cool mixes with them and do intros on them. Because if I do current stuff, I'm going to have no idea what the hell I'm doing.
Well, congratulations on your new venture, and I hope that you can go to sleep at some point without the in your head.
I know. I'm slowly going to try to parlay it into a 90s rap or hip-hop show, but, you got to do these things slowly, little steps at a time.
Exactly. You're courting them.
Absolutely. This is the courting phase, and then I'm going to flip them over, and never mind. We're here to talk creativity and be polite, I think.
No. Tell me more. Details.
Well, you get them comfy, and then you slip them over and fuck them.
Oh, I guess that was sort of disappointing. I liked it a little bit more in the lingerie. I liked it when you weren't so blunt about it.
I know,
sir.
I know. See, that's the problem. I don't have. There's no line for me. You know, there's no. It's either coy or it's either. It's a terrible way to use it, but in your face.
Oh yeah, especially in the context of what we were just talking about.
I know, it's real bad. It's real bad. This is supposed to be my grown-up podcast.
Well, we are saying grown-up things.
Very grown-up things.
But anyway, man. I just to put a final bow on the whole thing, though, is I just wanted to thank you for having me on, man, and
of course,
letting me spread the word about this, and especially because you didn't know me from Adam. You just kind of went based off Kate's recommendation, and I appreciate it, man. Seriously.
Hey, no problem. I know we talked about her already, but Librarian Kate is good people, and she said that you're good people, and that's enough for me.
That's I think that the currency of your word is one of the most undervalued things that we have as a society.
Oh, absolutely.
We watch politicians and actors and producers and all these people who have power constantly betray their own word and sort of have set up a culture of being fine with that, and it drives me absolutely insane.
That's horrible.
The fact that I'm the sort of person where it's like, if I say I'm going to get something done, take that to the bank, cash that in, because it's getting done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Kate's that same way.
Absolutely, and all I want from that is the same from you, right? Like I'll keep my word to you. You just keep yours to me. You know.
Well, it's funny. So I don't know if it's any different, but I'm from Boston, where it's like I'll keep my word no matter what, because it's this integrity thing. And I'm not saying that the way you do it is wrong at all. I'm not trying to nag you on this date we're having. No, it's more along the lines of like, so I'll do that for anyone, but then. The minute you don't do the same back for me, you get cut off immediately.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm the exact same way.
Okay, yeah, it's like a very Irish mob mentality, like in Boston, where it's like, well, you're my best friend until you're not, and then you're done. And but then the thing is, it's like, if you can get it past that stage, you're in for life. It's a weird thing.
Absolutely.
It's probably just a stubborn New England thing, really, is what it is.
Yeah, well, it's like I said at the beginning of the show, you get one. I'll always give you one, and then it's kind of we go from there, and where we go from there is up to that person. I'm the exact same as you, man.
Dude, right away, there was a heavy metaphor, and people didn't even know it until the end. This is like a, what's his name, who did Inception? Christopher Nolan movie.
That's right. I'm the Christopher Nolan of podcasting, apparently.
Hey, I would get that tattooed on my lower back.
Fair enough. That's you do you is how I'd say that.
But yeah, man. So thanks so much. I appreciate it.
No problem. All the best. Safe travels. Let's do this again sometime when we can just kind of shoot the shit when you're not as rushed and not as feeling down in the weather. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, thanks, dude. Yeah, same.
All right. All the best. Take care, and we'll talk soon, man.
Oh, hey, I was giving you clean audio out.
Oh, you're a professional. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for listening to this bonus edition of MattLees Gets Creative, and thanks to Ben Goldsmith for joining me. What a cool conversation and a unique way to record a podcast as he travels across Florida. I really enjoyed it. I tried to clean up the audio a little bit, but it was only going to get so good with the background noise, but I did thoroughly enjoy it. I hope you did too, and Ben and I will get together in the future and do another podcast when we can have some cleaner audio and he's feeling a little bit better. Don't forget to follow us at ML Gets Creative for the Instagram and the Twitter. You can email us mattleesgetscreative@gmail.com. And again, if you do get the chance, take a look at our Patreon program for MattLees Gets Creative, because every little helps. We're going to take your kindness and pay it forward. So thank you very much for that. And of course, thanks for listening.